Here we are, part 2 of mixing a spicy 3-piece hardcore rock band. If you have not seen part 1, go right down in the description. I posted a link there so you can see what we did in part 1. And basically we did a broad mix of the drums, just getting them in the right area, and we will tweak them as we go through and add the different instruments. This band recorded a full album right here in my control room, and they released it in a split album. I have it right here. The name of the band is Lip from Chicago. Here's album 1. And here's 2. I also went back and found a video of me tracking the bass, and that's what we're going to go over right here. So let's look how I track the bass. Let's go back and see that right now. Bass tracking day for the Lip album. This is actually the JCM 800 I rebuilt electronically, cleaned it up beautifully inside, and it sounds massive. It's going through a 212 cab. I got it mic'd with the Sony C38 in cardioid on the bottom speaker and Fire M201 on the top speaker. I got that coming through to my pair of APIs that I had just put together, and this is the Sony C38 Fire M201. And I checked these for phase perfectly going through a vintage bass. There's Chris, say hi. Over for Lip, and then here it is. Sounds massive. So as you can see from that video, we went for a very grungy, distorted sound. Let's treat these tracks. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is hear everything. That's where we left the drums, and let's solo out the bass. This is both bass tracks, the Sony C38 for the low end and the M201 for the high end. Here we go. Let me solo the C38. Low end and crunchy. That's a 12-inch speaker being pushed. Now let's hear the M201. The M201 is going to be probably the majority of our bass sound, all right? I'm going to lower the Sony C38 just a tad bit. And I am going to grab the Renaissance EQ and just high pass at about 55 hertz. And then I'm going to take that same plugin, I'm just going to copy it over so it's on both bass tracks, the Sony C38 and the M201. In the box, you will see me low passing and high passing quite a bit. Right now, I'm going to patch in a pair of compressors on the bass, the DBX 160 XTs for bass guitar. I like them on guitars a lot, but right now we're going to use them on bass. And what I want to do is push the bass into these compressors, and I want to get about 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction just so it holds steady. Now I'm going to add a pair of API 560Bs to these bass guitar tracks. Let me patch those in now. I'm going to take the bass tracks that I just treated and make sure they're sitting with the drums and in the mix level-wise. Because whenever you compress or EQ tracks, you could potentially change the level of them. So we're going to check that now. I really like the way those compressors and EQs brought out the aggressiveness of the bass tracks. And we'll go through and tweak levels throughout the entire mix to make sure that everything's sitting with the other tracks. I'm constantly going back and checking to hear what I did and how it sits with the tracks. Because it really doesn't matter how these tracks sound on their own. It matters how they all blend together to make up the whole mix of the song. I want to move ahead now and add an effect to the bass. We're going to see if the SPX 90 could give us some kind of cool phaser effect or flanger effect. Let's dial that in. So what I'm going to do is I have the SPX 90 patched into Echo Send 2. So I'm going to take Echo Send 2 and I'm going to turn that up right here, and I have it returning to channel 23 and 24. So I'll turn up channel 23 and 24, and I'll hard pan them left and right. I'll have the bass tracks coming up the center here, mono up the center. Then I'm sending Echo Send 2 to the SPX 90, returning stereo back to channel 23 and 24, and hard panning it left and right. So we'll have the dry bass tracks up the center and then returning as much as we want of the flanger or whatever we use, phaser, whatever effect we pick, stereo left and right. Should be a really cool wide bass sound. Let's see what we could dial in here. Got a chorus here, stereo flange, stereo echo. Let's hear the stereo echo. Don't really care for that. Let's see what else we got. Cosmic flanger. Let's see what that does. I like that, but I don't like the cosmic part of it. Let's go to... I like that a lot. I don't want a lot of it in there. I just want enough. I want to now EQ the return tracks. Channels 23 and 24, that effect is returning to, I want to EQ that. I want to add a little top end and I want to take a little bit of low end out so it doesn't get muddy. I'm going to engage the console EQ. It really adds a cool effect to the bass to have that flanger just a little bit. It's probably about 20-25% in there. I'm glad we took the time to dial in that effect for the bass. I might not use it during the whole song, but I will automate it up during certain parts of the song. A particular part that I have in mind is where the guitars drop out, and I'm going to show you an example of that. There's two ways I could do that. I could automate the track in Pro Tools to come up when I want the effect during certain parts of the song, or I could ride my faders during the final print. Let me show you where I had in my mind where I think the effect should come in. Little things like that make a big difference in a song. I mentioned this is going to be a multi-part series, and before we get in depth with the guitars. What I'm going to do right now for the outro of this video in particular, I am going to dial in the Alicia Expressor on the main overdriven guitars and just get a balanced mix of what we have so far for the outro of this video. So I'm going to patch in the Alicia X filter. I'm going to solo the guitars and dial in the Expressor. I'm doing about 1 to 2 dB of gain reduction. This is a very transparent compressor when you want it to be. For the overdriven guitars, I'm also going to use the console EQ. I like how this console EQ really makes the guitars sound aggressive. For the next video in part 3, we'll dig into the guitars more and probably get into the vocals. But for right now, I'm just going to get a balance of the tracks we have going on right now. If you want to see my future videos, like and subscribe. It motivates me to post these videos. Thanks for watching. Take care.